Most people that don't have money are afraid to talk about money. They're afraid to bring up money in the conversation. I just said, here's my price, Jessica. My price is. And I see that look on your face that goes, why don't we charge the most for what is the easiest? When I shifted that perspective, that's when I stopped giving my bread away.
Well, a man with conviction sounds like a man with conviction.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a new age that we're in, and it's a new era for men. Higher energy always brings up lower density. That energy that is masculine without connection has hurt a lot of people.
I already am feeling fear just hearing you talk.
Every girl I talk to, they want someone masculine, and there's a reason that they're single. No offense for the yoga instructors out there. What is the end result of an emotional alchemy process? Here's an end result. No, that changed my life. I'm willing to back that financially.
Welcome to the Well Worshipped Man podcast, where men come to build unshakable presence, become the rock in their relationship, and build a legacy that lasts beyond their years. Here, we explore the path to mature masculinity through humble power, daily devotion, and unwavering integrity.
Thanks, baby. Today on the show, we have a special guest, a mentor of mine. We have Brandon Hawk. Brandon is a former professional tennis player turned elite performance coach, bringing connected success to more of the men, more of the people that need it. He is leading a movement of heart-centered leadership. He's a best-selling author, and how he found his way to the show today is he's a near and close mentor of mine for almost the past year. And so we're super excited to have him on. Welcome, Brandon.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, we're excited you're here.
Yeah.
Isaac just mentioned that you were a former professional tennis player and now you are coach. Is that the term that you use?
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in between there, you were a preacher.
I was.
So something that stands out to me about that process and journey that you've been on is just like strong shifts in the expression of purpose and the way you were living. And that's challenging for some people. You know, I've just wrote a post about inertia, and it's like an object in motion stays in motion. You know, it's really hard to turn that corner. And so I'm curious what those processes were like and just really changing, you know, your dharma at multiple points in life.
Yeah, it's a great question. I know for even my clients, right? A lot of clients come to me or to help them with their transition, whether it be a professional athlete that's now retiring, you know, a founder. Just came here from a call with a founder of a very large company, and he just sold out. He's transitioning his life. And through my distinct transitions, I've started to see that there were some real phases to transition, right? I've had 3 big ones. And so I started to see that, okay, people in transition, I call it the pit, without getting too teachy. There's just 4 real distinct stages. And I think what's most personal to me has led to what's most universal to the people that I work with and even to the world, right? It may not be, there's micro transitions and there's macro transitions. And so I've definitely had a few big shifts in my life. You know, even from religion to love. I grew up, without diving too deep right off the bat, I grew up, you know, my parents stabilized through religion, through Christianity, which I'm super thankful for. I didn't have to experience a lot of things that they experienced growing up because of that container of stability and safety that they partnered with. And it gave them some values and some foundations that they needed to create something better for their lives and their kids' lives. So I'm super thankful for how I grew up. It even led to me, after retiring from tennis, being a pastor. But man, that stability that they created also gave me a foundation and like a lifting off point to really fly, right? Their ceiling could become my floor. And I had a transition from religion, I would say, to love, where I had a question, am I going to be the next Joel Osteen? I knew that world. I know that path. I grew up in that path. Under this hat, I've got some good hair and I've got some white teeth. And I can, I know how many songs to sing and what to say. I just knew that world really well. And I had to decide, is that the path for me, or am I going to take the unknown path? And I think for myself, choosing the unknown path has been a big part of my life dharma.
The process that, changing directions takes you on really is being comfortable and like releasing the security that you have. You honored the church that you grew up in, and it's like, okay, you got some stable roots to feel safe enough that then I think there's some ways that the stability that we do grow up with is kind of untouchable. Like the more stability that you have, even if you're not consciously thinking about it, the easier transitions can be. And yet they're still hard. I talk to a lot of our clients about like the better you can get at dying well, the easier life can be, because it's going to take you on these transitional paths. So that process.
I always say, like, what I want to control, I need to release, and what I want to run away from, I need to move towards, right? And I think that it's easy for myself, like to want to squeeze the bunny, right? And like, I want to, make it and hold it really tight, but making a habit of surrender, right? And letting go, there's always a return back of something greater. Yeah, it's easy to say.
Yeah.
It takes courage to live out. And like you said, to die those deaths well, to surrender well, is a beautiful muscle to build.
Yeah, you mentioned something that might help listeners build that muscle. You talked about people in transition and really 4 phases that you've identified in transitions. You care to share more?
Yeah, I totally can. I mean, teachers got to teach. The first stage, I call it, it's kind of cute, I call it the pit, right? People in transition. But the first stage is always like the reveal stage, the illumination phase. Like, it's like, you didn't know, but now you know. And you're like, oh my God, I know, oh my God, that like ayahuasca or plant medicine, or, oh my God, this perspective has changed my life. This is amazing. There's always that kind of camp high. If you grew up in the church, you know what I'm saying? Like that camp high energy, and you feel that high from that new perspective and that new illumination. It's always the first stage of kind of transitioning. It's like, okay, now you're screwed because you know something different.
You can't unknow it.
You can't unknow it, and you can't go back. But that's always a problem because you can't go back, right? And then you move into the second stage, which is the confront stage. You now have to confront everything that is not in alignment to that new perspective or that new illumination that took place. So now you've moved from religion to love. If you've gone from conditional love to unconditional love, okay. Now everything in my life that was built out of conditional love now has to become in alignment with unconditional love. And that season's tough because a lot of my life was built out of performing for value, performing for love, right? Living for something rather than from it. And that confront stage is tough. Whether, I work with a lot of businesses, I have a lot of corporations, they go through this process, and the confront stage is tough, right? There's a lot of emotional tension that has to be addressed. That's also birthed a big part of my process is emotional alchemy and how emotions affect performance. Because when you're in the confront stage, it brings up some big time energies and motion in our body. Our pain bodies get to be dealt with, right? We get to turn lead into gold, and those densities emerge. We get to confront those. And so, there's the confront season. You get to confront everything that's not in alignment to the perspective. And then the third season's the transform season. Transform is like you know you've changed, but you don't have a whole lot to show for it. Like, you know you're different, and you're like, no, I've changed. You know, it's rooted. Like, I am a different person. And they're like, well, your life still looks the same, and it may even be worse. But you're like, no, I've changed. And you feel it, right? You can't fake your vibration. And so now you've anchored into a new frequency that you feel. And there's a really cool part of this product. I wouldn't say cool, it's hard. You have this one branch, right, that has one apple on it. And you're like, see, I've changed. I have fruit. I have a fruit-bearing branch. And then the universe goes, hey, I need you to prune that branch. I need you to let that branch go fully so that it can not just have one, but you can have 10 apples, 100 apples on that branch. And you've just come out of confront, and now you're in transform. You're like, see, I've got some fruit. And the universe says, okay, do you really trust me? And, you know, a lot of people I've noticed, they don't have to go through transform because they have enough from the first 2 stages and enough language to make them dangerous. But what the transform season does, it anchors you in to, you know, which is my passion, the embodied masculine energy, right? Not like a toxic masculine, but not like, you know, the nice guy masculine, but like truly anchored and rooted. The transform season, man, deepens your root system. And it's what, I mean, you got to go all the way through. And yeah, those are the guys, man, the guys that are really willing to, I call it prune the branch, to risk everything, right? To risk it all. I felt that when I left being a pastor. I was a young pastor, large congregation, and I had an invitation, and I was going through my own transition, and I had an invitation into something very unknown, but I really had to prune the branch. I had to let go of it. I had to cut it, you know? It's like, if you understand, if you're familiar with Bible stories, you know, Isaac on the altar, right? And it's like, I had to put the knife through I had to sacrifice my own son, right? Which is weird anyways. But for story purposes, it was like the thing I loved the most and found the most value in, I had to sacrifice it. And I had to be willing to sacrifice it and let it go. And I was. And it opened up coaching for me, which I didn't even know existed. I had no clue coaching existed. I didn't even know about coaching. And as I let that go, coaching emerged. And I went from, you know, being a struggling pastor financially, but having a bigger flock, to then carrying that same influence and making, you know, $240,000 my first event, to then making over $400,000 my second event. And I started to, because I pruned the branch, I was able to see an energetic return back to me. Instead of just, oh, you're great, Brandon, thank you for that message, it really changed my life, and here's your $50,000 for the year, right? To like, no, that changed my life, and I'm willing to back that financially and at the level that you deserve. And so that shift happened. So then it leads us into the 4th stage, right, which is manifest. And so I was able to manifest things that once were on my vision board, right? And okay, this seemed impossible to go from 60 to 600,000. And those things happened. And they happened in a congruent way, right? In a way that it's easy to apply the laws of success, right? That feels pretty easy to me. There's certain laws you can apply to success and they can happen. There's another thing to do it in a connected way, right? In an embodied way, and to create success that doesn't leave you out. And I felt like I manifested something that didn't leave me out. And yeah, that's kind of PIP process, what I started to see with high achievers especially, it's very universal with high achievers who are transitioning.
I am listening to you share this process and these steps, and one of the ways you're showing your transition is through the difference in monetary energy exchange, which is a really easy measurable thing. And people have a lot of stuff about money. And I think that it's really important just to like validate and also emphasize like there is a way that our dharma gets to feel nourishing for us. Like it doesn't need to feel depleting. And I grew up Catholic. So there's a lot of like things that I've unwound from Catholicism. And it's like the place that I am now is like Spirit wants me to have joy. Like Spirit wants me to have joy. Mother Earth is abundant. Like everything that I could ever need to eat is naturally growing here. And so the shift in the energy exchange you were gaining is an important one because you are still changing people's lives and also you're not depleted as much. But I'm wondering if you could share a little bit more also about like the emotional shifts or other ways of life that have shifted besides just like a monetary tag for anyone who has some money stuff.
I would like to stay on the monetary tag just for a second. I would like to talk about money.
Great. I
like to talk about money because the more I talk about money, the more money I make.
Great.
I mean, it's like the more we're not afraid of something, the more it shows up in our world. But most people that don't have money are afraid to talk about money. Right. And they're afraid to bring up money in the conversation. We just had a powerful coaching moment, and how easy is it for a lot of coaches or whoever to go, okay, well, that was great, I'll see you later, rather than, no, hey, this is what I do for a living. I feel like I can help you just as I've done here. Are you open to that conversation of talking about, me being your coach, right? And having the ability to go there is so important. Something that's big, two things that come up when you asking that question was the first shift in perspective is what comes the easiest has to command the most value. And so like most people that are in the transformational arts, right? There's a thing that comes very easy to them, but the lack of reciprocity on the back end, the exchange is bad because they don't command the most value for the thing that comes the easiest that actually creates the most impact. Because why? You got to think about it. Why don't we charge the most for what is the easiest? Okay. Well, if you grew up like me in a perform for value community or perform for value family, right? Things that are hard equate to what? Value, right? Things that are easy, right? Things that are easy, it's like, okay, that's easy. Is there a lot of value there in a perform for value world? There's really not. So I had to retrain myself that the thing that I would do for free has to command the most value exchange for myself. When I shifted that perspective, that's when I stopped giving my bread away, right? The bread that was meant for me. That's when I stopped even like prostituting my gift, right? Just here's my gift, here's my gift, here's my gift. And I get back a little bit in exchange. That exchange was not good enough for me.
That's a powerful like imagery.
Right?
Prostituting your gift. That is like rampant.
It's rampant, right? In the transformational arts world, there's a prostituting of the gift. But to anchor into your value, it's very emotional, right? You have to feel a lot of feelings in your body. You have to be willing to feel those, process those, and move through those to stay aligned to your value. But what happens when we feel tension in our body, especially around money? Money brings up tension. So what happens? I just said, here's my price, Jessica. My price is $50,000. You're like, and I see that look on your face that goes, $50,000? What happens inside of me? And how I handle what happens inside of me determines what happens to me, okay, and what I receive. So how do I handle that look in your face, and how do I handle those energies is so important. So that emotional alchemy, that alchemy process, you have not because what you receive not because you can't handle the tension that comes up in your body around receiving. So we have to be able to handle that tension. So that's led to another process of mine, right, that I get to work with my clients through an emotional alchemy called the 5 A's, turning lead into gold. It's really just my own process of how do I handle the density that comes up in my body, especially around money and charging what I'm worth. How do I handle the density that comes in my body when I ask my wife, Jenny, for what I want? And we have a conversation about what she wants or what I want. And how do I handle the tension that comes up in my body when she has tension and she's in a feminine storm? Okay. What do I do with that tension? That tension that comes up in me determines the amount of connection I'm going to have with her. Right? That determines everything, how I handle that tension. And so it set me on a journey of like, oh, this emotional thing is a big deal. Like, and it affects performance, it affects connection, right? It affects how my kids, if they receive my love or not, right? What the transfer is to my children. So it took me on a big exploration of emotional energy. And I grew up in a family that we could perform together, we could produce together, do a lot of really great stuff together. We're all athletes, all Division I athletes, everybody's pretty successful, but we couldn't be with dense emotions together. There was no room for any kind of emotional pain. And we loved each other, but if there was emotional pain, there was not a container for it. And so it left a lot of us, myself included, feeling really alone. Right? If you don't have a space to share your emotional pain with your dad or with your mom or your siblings, that doesn't feel great when you're sitting in the living room. How many more ball games do we need to watch?
Right.
Yeah.
While everybody feels something in the room.
That's
some
right.
tension that goes unaddressed or avoided. And what you teach and share about emotions as the entry point to anything that people want to change in their lives. If they want to make more money, experience more connection in their relationships, if they want more fulfillment in their career, the entry point that you guide men and corporations through is emotions. And that's very counterintuitive to organizations and to men, because what they wish they could just do is implement some new tactics or a new sales script or a different offer, right? That's what they wish that they could do. And there's some fear, a lot of stigma about going into the emotions first. And I think it's one of the hardest parts about this work is to help guys understand the importance of it. And that it's not just feeling for feeling's sake, that the feelings and learning how to work with them can create more of what they want in their lives. So how do you go about kind of flipping that script from the people and the businesses that just wish they had another tactic to now entering through this doorway of the emotional world?
Oh, man. I think that in any sales, right, to be effective at sales, you have to give people the result of what does emotional alchemy produce? And so to sell well, and it's vulnerable to go here, and it's a faster energy. You can feel it in your body. It's easy to give the process. It's easy to give what you're passionate about. Oh, and this is what we do. And we do emotional stuff. And, and they're kind of like, well, okay. But to sell something effectively, and I even like saying that word sell, right? I feel like there's a holiness to influencing someone to partner with you, right? And you have to be able to share the end result. What is the end result of an emotional alchemy process? Okay. What's an end result for a corporation? Okay. Here's an end result. More money to the bottom line, more efficiency. Okay. Employee retention. Okay. They feel connected here. They feel like seen and heard. They feel known here. What are they going to want to do when they feel this is a place where they can feel seen, known, and heard and expressed? Okay, they're going to want to be a part of it, right? Employee buy-in, the whole thing. So you have to be willing to, and it's not like, hey, I can't promise you what those numbers are going to be, but I can tell you when you connect to the frequency of the heart, it is a faster, higher energy than the frequency of the mind. So I can guarantee there is going to be an uptick in your results. I can't determine what that is, but there will be an increase. And so, yeah, leading with that, I think is important, especially in the guy world, right? In the manosphere, you have to be willing to own the result of what that is, because you're not going to get a lot of buy-in on emotional alchemy.
Mm-hmm.
But when I just got off the phone with one of my clients. He's playing at Wimbledon. He's getting ready. He's practicing this week. He's there in London, and is emotional alchemy going to help him win more tennis matches? Is it going to help him win Grand Slams? So what do I have to speak his language? His language is what? Winning Grand Slams and feeling good, on the road. I want to feel good. I want to feel connected, and I want to win Grand Slams. Okay, how have you felt? I've felt alone. Okay, awesome. Let's turn that aloneness into Grand Slams. We want to? Okay. It sounds good, right? That sounds effective.
Yeah.
That's easy buy-in.
Yeah.
And that's just turning that density into what? That density that's in his world, that density that used to fuel him, that no longer fuels him. Right? Because those strategies used to fuel us. I mean, I think, can you relate to like aloneness used to fuel me, right? Like that rejection, need for approval used to fuel me. It stopped fueling me. Oh no, what do I do when my need for approval stops fueling me? And that's what happens to a lot of these high achievers. What got them there doesn't work anymore. And then they're like, oh no, what do I do? That's when they take the density that they've been avoiding all these years and they turn it into higher performance.
When people hit that space where like, okay, what I've been doing isn't working anymore, that's usually when one of these transition points starts.
Oh, yeah.
And so the barrier sometimes for people getting from like phase 2 to phase 3 that you mentioned is like this embodiment phase, to die well. It's like, okay, I know that I've gone through these transitions many times and this is just what it feels like. And it kind of sucks in this in-between phase, but like it's going to get better. But when people first really start doing this work and start becoming, not that it's necessarily their first change that they're going through, but their first or second or third conscious change where they're intentionally alchemizing their emotions and trying to shift them into something else, there is this phase of like learning trust. Once you learn trust, it's a bit easier, even though the transitions can be challenging. But that learning phase is like you basically have to take someone else's word for it because it isn't embodied yet. And I find that is kind of like the most challenging part for anyone on this journey is taking someone else's trust basically on a loan.
Oh, yeah. I think that's the importance of like a coach, right? Because someone who is anchored and embodied in what you want to become, sometimes you have to partner with their field before you create your own. And their field is, you have to sharecrop a little bit until you have the energy, capacity, resources to buy your own field. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? I think the temptation is, or where we don't want to go, is we don't want to turn that person or their field into your savior, right? Where they become your savior or your everything. You can see that, right? With church. It's meant to be a field of stabilization. It's a very energy neutral field. It gets people from energy poor to energy neutral, and you're able to stabilize your life. And that's awesome. But it was never meant to be, if you still 30 years into this thing need Jesus to take the wheel, you haven't gone through the maturation process. right? You haven't even moved from the kingdom of God is within me. Now the kingdom of God is, man, I'm called to do greater things because of this power that is within me, right? You haven't gone on that journey of maturation. You're still in this place of codependence with the very thing that was supposed to liberate you, right? How many of us have had codependent relationships with deities, and whether it be Jesus or plant medicine or whatever, there's a codependency on that thing. It was never meant to be that. It was meant to be a partnership for a season so that you could then create your own.
It's really interesting as you're talking about like the maturation of the kingdom of heaven. I'm just thinking about like taking communion. It's like, oh, if you're not you're not really taking communion if it's always outside of you. You know, you're supposed to like ingest the communion to be a reminder that like God is within me. I've ingested spirit, and so now I have spirit, you know, and the maturation process is really like becoming aware that spirit's always within you.
I think it moves from this is the bread, this is the body, right? Broken for me to I am. Right. And then it moves into we are. Right. And there's that process of that we codependence to independence, right? That autonomy process. And then we emerge into interdependence. And now we're in union, right? With the divine. And so many people want to move from that codependence, which is fine. I can't raise myself. I need a parent. Awesome. Parent me, right? The dependent phase. But we try to move from that place of dependency to interdependency without ever going through independence. And that's where you see the miss, right? You see that a lot in church, like talking we are together, this union without someone going through their own sovereignty and their own power. The power and sovereignty phase is pretty wild because it looks like heresy, right? It looks like heresy to the thing that once saved you.
Yeah.
And you have to go through this joke, threat, teacher process inside of that where you first become a joke. What's happened to Brandon? Brandon was on the path to be the next guy, and now he can't even what has happened to him? I mean, he was so successful. He's a professional tennis player, and his family had a successful business, and he had this church, and he can't even get people to come to his church anymore. What has happened to him? He is such a man. His friends don't even they don't even trust him because he doesn't even believe the same things that they believe. Man, is he even of God anymore? I don't even think he's of God anymore. I don't know. Okay, that's the joke. You have to become a joke. Joke phase was so good for me. So good. I'd never been a joke in my whole life. Always been successful. Always been somebody. And I got to be a nobody, which is awesome. Right? I got to be a joke, and I got to find myself. I got to find where my value comes from. I got to find where my approval comes from. I get to feel all the feelings of being a joke. Right? So good for me. Then you become a threat. Once you're okay with being a joke, then you start to threaten. Oh, you start to speak out. You know, the power's in you. It's not here. It's not coming here. It's not here. It's in you. Don't you dare get codependent on me. Don't make me your savior. You're your savior. Right? Oh, I don't know, Brandon. Well, that's, Jesus is the only savior, right? No, actually, you are it. Okay. It is you, and it's been you all along. Whew. Okay. You start to threaten a way of life by not having them come to the church, right? You start to free them from their guilt, and you start to go after guilt and shame and scarcity and scared energy, and you start to let them know that the power's within them, and the power structure of the day doesn't like that, right? Whether that's your family, right? Whether it's a mother-in-law, whether it's the elders at a church, whatever it is, right? You become what? You become a threat to their safety. And so once you make it through the threat stage, then you become what? Then you become the teacher. Then all those people that called you, said you were a joke and you weren't of God, now they're coming to all your trainings. Then I'm like, oh, awesome. Come on in.
Mm-hmm.
It's just $100,000 for you.
If you've been looking for community and guidance that will change your life for good, we have something for you. We're pausing this conversation to introduce something to you that we're so excited about, our upcoming course, Reclamation.
Reclamation isn't just another 3-month course where you change during the course of the container and then go back to your old ways afterwards. It's not playing whack-a-mole with individual habits and vices and toxic relationship patterns. It is the solution to finding the root of it all so that you can wipe all of it off the table. And it's without white knuckling or discipline or willpower. The only issue that you have is life force mastery, and this is the solution.
So no matter where you are on your journey, whether you're just beginning and feel completely immersed in gray clouds of your own mess, or you've been on this path for a while and are just looking to fine-tune your devotion to your journey, whether you identify as a man or a woman, we want all of you in this community with us so that we can all rise together.
To learn more and register, click the link in the description, and we'll see you when we start.
You get to pay extra.
Something that's really stood out as I've gotten to know you, and I'm thinking about the threat stage here, is a phrase that you use. It's offending your own programming, right? So it's not just a threat to the power structure that you have previously succumbed to. It's a threat to the belief systems that have kept you safe, right? So for a nice guy who has trouble asking for what he needs, he actually needs to show up in a way that feels selfish to him. Perhaps it's not, but to him it feels really
That's
disgusting.
Good, Isaac. It's probably it is the greatest threat. The greatest threat even to outside power structures, whatever they are. The greatest threat is to our programming and to what was put in us from 0 to 7 and how we survived and how we learned to cope. And when you start to threaten that programming, that's when rockets start to go off in your body telling you to stop or trying to shut you down. Right? We call that the terror barrier. From one elevation, one new paradigm to the next, you have to move through what? A terror barrier. And that's your body saying, this is what's kept you safe. This is what's kept us safe. This is what's kept us in survival. The nice guy. And now you're, oh, that's too much, Brandon. That's too forceful. Oh no, that's too, they're going to perceive, oh, they're going to think you're the next Andrew Tate, right? You better chill out on that. That's too dark. Right? And that intensity or you taking on a new programming, you stepping into that is very threatening. It's very threatening to, just what feels familiar in your own body. And you definitely have to walk through the terror barrier. And Gay Hendricks talks about it, right? At the, when we have this upper limit, right? When we're about to break through, our body tries to sabotage and bring us back down to a place of homeostasis. And that upper limit problem, right? It's created. And so, man, threatening your own programming. I love, blessed is he who is offended because of me, right? Moving through the hurdle, going through the portal of offense, offending yourself. And oftentimes it is, for a lot of us, it's, if you've been the nice guy, it's now you being selfish. And then what happens that you're finally taking your power back, and then your partner goes, oh, you're just selfish. Okay. Oh, you're just this. And then you're like, oh, maybe I am, right? That you feel all those feelings, and you have to address that part of you, of that feminine energy testing, if you're going to be anchored in this new frequency or not. And so I now know when Jenny starts to question who I am, my identity, when she starts to question that, okay, that's actually, I'm on the right path. I need to keep going, but it's also a time that I can check in with her and ask her about how she's feeling. Rather than making it about me and an attack on my identity usually it has very little to do with my identity. It has to do with how she's feeling and what this new fast energy is bringing up inside of her. So I get a chance to, okay, is this really about me? Am I an asshole? Am I really selfish? Am I this? No, I'm actually a really good provider. I provide for my family. I pay my bills. Right? Okay, all right. This is not true. Let's calibrate back. How is she feeling? Okay, this is a more powerful energy. Okay, that's her abandonment wound coming up. I know that comes up. Let's talk about how you feel. How are you feeling, Jen? What's coming up? I know I'm operating in more intensity. You can feel it. Like, this is where we're going. I feel super clear. What's that clarity bringing up in you? She'll usually throw one more jab at me, right? To see if I'm really going to keep it about her heart. And then once I pass that second, we call it 7-layer dip, right? First two are hardest to get through. So she really likes to put a little jab in there, see if I'm for real. I know you've never done that. Have you ever done that?
I'm thinking of a very specific situation.
We're talking about all those people out there.
Well, I have a question about this because in a lot of like masculine, feminine work, which is only one lens, but there will be conversations about like, okay, the feminine gift is the intuition. So what is the difference between that challenge versus like, no?
Yeah, it's awesome. I love Jenny's intuition. Okay. But here's what first has to be understood. Jenny plays a different game than I do. Okay. I don't play her game. I play my game. And my game's different. How I build my world is different than how she would build her world. Okay. It is not the same. She has a different personality than me. She has a different gift set than me. Right. We're different people. So how I build my world is different than how she would build her world and how she built. So I first have to understand that. She's probably given me advice on how she would do it for herself. Right? Like when I walk into the room, I mean, it's obvious, right? I picked the first girl I knew. I saw her. She's mine. I've been with her. It's like, okay, right? That's the one. I walk in, I go and buy some shoes or clothes. Oh, I know I don't need to putts. Those are the ones I want. I see them. I know, right? I'm quick to know. I know if I don't, if there's nothing here for me, I know very quickly if there's nothing here for me. Jenny's different. She likes to putts, right? She likes to kick the tires. She likes to see. She likes to maybe this and this is an op. That's just not how I am. Okay, I'm not that way. So she wants, man, we need her advice. Let's go a little slower. Let's think about all the options. I don't need to think about all the options. Right? That's advice she would give me for who? For herself. Okay. But there is a difference when I do trust that she's just a person that's very spiritual, it's very deep, that's done the work, that has high levels of, she's intelligent, she's has many spiritual gifts. So it'd be dumb not to listen to her. I just have to filter it through my own autonomy and how I play the game and my own strengths. What's the methodology for Brandon for success? Here's the temptation. When I'm not in my power, okay, it's easy to go, well, Jenny knows better. And she is smarter than me. She did make better grades than me in college. And, she is, she does have a more dependable personality and, it's easy to go down and give my power away to her strategy. But that's not attractive. And that's not what she wants. The pain body side wants that, but not her higher self does not want that for me. She doesn't want all that power in our relationship. That's too much to carry. And so that's the calibration I have to have. What game am I playing? What's my methodology? And yes, I am willing to hear. And where is this coming from? Is this out of your own fear or is this out of love? Like, I got to really go, okay, where is this coming from first? Quote unquote, intuition can often be just her own fear. So, yeah, I got to do a little digging.
Yeah, I mean, discerning the difference between what intuition and fear feels like and sounds like in conversation is like so essential,
It's
in the
essential,
process.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can't tell the difference, then you can't really make it anywhere in those conversations.
Usually when she has an initial response to what an idea that I have, I know it's fear. It's stirring something up. The higher energy is stirring up density. And that's something that you learn in the alchemy game, right? Higher energy always brings up lower density. And so, you've heard it say new levels, new devils, right? That's a little much for me. Scare them into heaven type stuff.
Yeah.
But there is something there. So what's there? It's the higher frequency will always bring out the lower density. So if I have a high frequency of inspiration and I feel so inspired and I feel clear and I feel vision, right? Vision's a function of the heart. Vision, oh man, and I see it and I'm clear and this is where we're going. This is what we're doing. What do you think that's going to bring up in her?
I already am feeling fear just hearing you talk.
Right? You hear it.
Yeah, because I feel like for the feminine, like there's so many examples of like power hungry men.
Yeah.
So then, and the only ones we hear, I mean, this is sort of the purpose of this podcast, is so that we can hear other men that are rooted and connected to their heart speak this way. But it's like most of the men in my life that I've heard speak that way are scary and do scary things.
Yeah,
and get people to follow them to do more scary things.
Yeah.
So even with you speaking with like that level of conviction and confidence, I'm like,
oh, yeah.
you know, and obviously like I
awesome,
trust you by proxy because you're on this podcast, you know, so it's a good experience for me actually to be able to feel that. But it is,
here's what I tell Jenny.
yeah,
I tell her, just get on board. No, I'm just messing.
No, she's really scared.
Yeah. Suppress your fear and get on board. Tell me.
but it is an important conversation because it's like, if what we want is like, you know, if women are having this conversation of desiring men who lead from the heart, like this is the first time that I've ever even really thought about the fact that there's that level of unwinding that's so subtle of, well, a man with conviction sounds like a man with conviction.
Yeah.
Right.
But it'll feel, once you have this conversation you're talking about, eventually you'll feel like that the heart and the roots are there that you don't get to feel from scary men. But initially it sounds the same.
And my wife, right, Jenny, we've been together since we were in high school, off and on, and then married when we were 23. And then, I mean, it's like, she went through those phases with me where I was scary. And that's the truth. That there were parts of me that said, you know, just get on board and I don't care how you feel, which was not healthy. And, you know, as I started to unwind in myself, the scared parts of me and the scared little boy that were never addressed, I just learned how to hit a tennis ball really well to outrun that. As I started to unwind that and started to connect to those parts of myself, it gave me the ability to connect to those parts of her. And the importance of that, right? That okay, this doesn't mean my conviction is wrong. And this doesn't mean my conviction is bad and my clarity is bad. I took that for a long time that, oh, because I am clear and I am a visionary and I do see what that brings up in people must mean what I'm seeing is not good or it's tainted in some way. And that could play on my own anxious attachment, right? That, okay, I'll dull down my vision and conviction and I'll come back to the fold and I won't be as scary. And so that's been my process, especially with Jenny, right? And instead of, no, awesome. Clarity is awesome. It's so great. And, right, what you're feeling and what that brings up is also important to me. I'm not going to let what it brings up in you keep me from like my connectedness to that, right? It's not like I've got to hold that. I've got to hold that vision and that clarity for me and for our family. But I am willing to come to your heart and connect to you at that level to see what's really there and what it's bringing up. And when I do that, right, that projection of fear in what I'm doing, like oftentimes what I'm doing, well, that's wrong and that's bad. And you just want to be famous, or you just want this, or you just want more money, or whatever, right? Whatever shot is being shot at. When I come back to her heart and I don't take it personal, which is easier said than done. When I come back to her heart and I'm like, okay, this isn't about me. This is about her heart and how she's feeling and what she's bringing up. I'm going to keep it about you. I'm going to keep it about you. Hey, babe, I hear you in that. And if it's still important for us to talk about this vision, here in about 30 minutes, we can talk about it. But right now, we're going to keep talking about you. Okay? I want to know how it makes you feel. Well, I just feel like, and you go off and then all of a sudden, and what happened when we were 22 is going to happen again. Let's talk about what happened when we were 22. How did that feel? Oh, it just sucked, Like, I loved you and we thought we were going to build a life together, and then we weren't, out of the blue. You had success and then we broke up. Yeah, that wouldn't feel good. Right? And I can connect back to that and keep unlayering her deeper to what's really there. And and then once we do that, then it's like, oh yeah, it wasn't about that. Right? Or, hey, I love it, and can we do it this way this time and not this way when we did last time? Awesome. Right? So that to me is a journey for myself, right? How do I stay in the masculine, which is, in the world, I think there's some coming back to, but there has been a demonization of the masculine for sure. Right?
Totally.
But the hard part is every girl I talk to out there in the world, what do they want? They want someone masculine. Okay? And there's a reason that they're single. Is because the guys that they think they want, right? No offense for the yoga instructors out there, right? But the love and light guys just aren't enough. But the masculine energy brings up something inside of them that you were talking about, that scared energy inside of them that they don't know what to do with. And so it's easy to demonize or push away from someone that's masculine because of the scared energy that it brings up inside them. And I would bet you have a lot of females that watch this. I would hope that they wouldn't push away maybe a man that carries conviction and clarity because of the scared energy that it brings up to them. Maybe it's a doorway for them to feel and process their scared energy. And I'm starting to see that. And I'm starting to see the girls, the ladies that do that, right? It's surprising that guy's actually meeting them there.
Yeah.
Right? That's surprising what they're getting to experience because they're not allowing that scared energy to dictate what they're willing or open to receive. Remember what I said? You have not because you receive not, because you can't handle the scared energy that comes up in your body around what you want. Sometimes what we want hits us in the face and we go, oh shit, that's a lot. I don't have the internal framework to handle what I really want. Right? Like, I need a second to calibrate it.
Yeah. And there's an important discernment process on the woman's end, and they can't truly be discerning if the default that they see a convicted man through is this demonized masculine version. So there has to be a willingness to let that go and to be able to see with clear eyes so they can see truly, is this man convicted from that wounded place, or is he convicted from a heart-centered and a clear place, and being open to that being possible. That's really one of the missions of this podcast, is to open the eyes of people that is possible. And if you scroll through the podcast, we've got hundreds of men.
Yeah, there's dudes out there doing the work, man. I mean, there are guys out there doing the work, and not that it wasn't, that toxic masculinity, that that energy that is masculine without connection. has hurt a lot of people, right? And it has caused problems.
Mm-hmm.
The lack of embodiment, the lack of emotional healing around the masculine energy, void of that embodiment, void of the healing, whether it be a guru or a head of state, right? I mean, I know a lot of gurus that are disconnected from their body that haven't done the work, but they've got a high gift and a high measure, and they're really disconnected from their body, and they're disconnected from their healing. And man, there's a wake of pain that they've caused in their life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to bypass that part.
Right.
That's there. That's for sure. Man, I'm telling you, there are guys right now that are really doing the hard work,
Mm-hmm.
that are starting to be able to hold both,
Mm-hmm.
right? That strong masculine energy, that conviction and clarity, and also a depth of feeling. And I talk to my guys about, the age that we're in, right? It's a new age that we're in, and it's a new era for men. And the era for men, it's not just singular, right, where you're the provider.
Mm.
And you can be an emotional child and be the provider. That's not the season we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the ladies can provide for themselves now. They're like, okay, if I've got to have another dependent, it's not worth it, man. I'll just get a cat,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'll just keep providing for myself, and I won't have some guy that's 7 emotionally fuck it all up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just easier to be with myself and be in some relationships or whatever than to, hook my trailer up to that. And so that's not where we are. Where we are is being a provider and having emotional depth.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be able to play both sides of the piano.
Mm-hmm.
And I even like saying the provider part, because a lot of people like to leave that out. Oh, women can provide for them, which they can. I don't want to. That's awesome. And I still haven't met a lady yet that's in her feminine that doesn't like a man providing for her.
Mm-hmm.
I've yet to meet one
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And respect that and feel safety in that and feel loved by that. So I've yet to meet one that doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so the provider part is just as important. It is still important
Mm-hmm.
to be a provider, to be able to receive energy back to you for your gift and for your value that you're giving the world. That's important. But secondly, you have to be able to play the other side of the piano, which is you have to have emotional depth.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got 2 young sons, and I'm teaching them both. Right? You've got to be able to connect emotionally, and you also have to be able to provide. It's a great calling, right? It's an up leveling
Mm-hmm.
for men. And it's an age for us we're getting called higher. And I think it's a real opportunity for some dudes that are willing to go there.
Mm-hmm.
If there's some guys that are willing to go there and to cultivate that and to create an internal capacity and invest into themselves in the beginning to expand, I call it the and, right? Living in both providership and emotional depth. Man, those guys, the world's open for them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really see 2 different types of guys. There's guys that answer that call, and then there's guys that say, oh, I got to go to the gym and hold space for my woman and make much is too much. I'm going to opt out of that entirely. And these are the guys that we see, behind their computer screens and nowhere else.
Yeah.
But that life doesn't really lead somewhere that's fulfilling and inspiring. But answering the call absolutely does. And it's an adventure to get there. And I think every man needs an adventure. It's not like you click a button and you're there. It's a path that you're on throughout your entire life. And there's so much life there. There's so much life-giving opportunity there.
This will sound really like, emotional fitness.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to the hard work I feel like I've done and the depth I've been going and the journeys I've been on and the things that have been happening inside, to call it emotional fitness feels a little like, okay, not as big as what a little small, but it really is emotional fitness,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like getting your reps in every day at an emotional level. If our emotions determine how much we will receive in life, whether it be fulfillment or money, right? Connection or love, I think it's pretty important that you can, like you literally can't receive, for my tennis guys, if you can't allow yourself to feel the emotions and the big emotions of winning a Grand Slam. You're not going to win a Grand Slam. You're going to find a way to sabotage winning a Grand Slam. If you haven't done the emotional work to feel everything in your body that goes into being up 5-3 in the third, being down 5-3 in the third, it's 95 degrees and 80% humidity, your body's cramping. Like, if you can't put yourself in that and feel those feels beforehand, and you have the ability to process that, what are you going to do in the moment, right? What are you going to do in the moment when your wife or your partner has her first, the girl you're dating has her first freak out? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? How are you going to respond to that? Like, that determines everything. It determines everything, how you handle that. And so, yeah, you can say I'm passionate about it. I think our emotions affect a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of research on mental rehearsal. They're talking about Olympians visualizing, the ski slope and going through that. But there's really a call for more emotional rehearsal. I'm hearing.
I mean, some of the greatest, like the Russians back in their heyday, they did a lot of like not visualizing outcome, but visualizing and experiencing the pain you would have to go through on the track and putting yourself in that. And you look at Conor McGregor in his heyday, he was putting himself in holds that he knew he could be in before his fights so that his body would get used to how it would respond when the air's choked out of it. And that emotional rehearsal, getting used to how those things are going to feel, is so important. You're right, man. I think you should do that. I think you should do that. I bet you do that with your clients.
Emotional rehearsal. It's on tab. We're going to start to wrap up here. So there's 2 questions that we ask every man at the end of the podcast. One is because we don't want this to just be something that people listen to and it was nice and then they leave and nothing changes. So we ask every guest what one piece of homework they would assign to the listener.
Yeah. I think I have an emotional alchemy process called the 5 A's. And working the 5 A's every morning for like 21 days, I feel like will literally change a person's life. Because what it does is it puts them in a different state emotionally, and emotional state affects mental story, it affects physical strategy. And so when you're in an inspired emotional state consistently, you'll have inspired outcomes consistently. And so I think the 21-day like emotional alchemy, we call it taking a bite out of the elephant. Take a bite out of the elephant every day. Then the elephant doesn't have to squash you. Like, you're just taking bites out of it. You're taking bites out of it. And you're building that muscle. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that they could do every day is just to do that. 5 A's. Awesome. I can even give a link. How about that?
Yeah.
Give a link.
Give us a link. We'll link your book too. Are they in your book?
Yeah, they're in my book.
Awesome. So yeah, you can find the 5 A's in the description.
Turning lead into gold.
Yes.
And then the second question is other men that you think that our listeners could look to, whether we could have them on the podcast or they could read a book by them or something, that are also embodying this like heart-led, mature masculinity, so that there's more examples and just more voices heard.
Yeah, it's awesome. More men. I think about some of the men that I hang out with, they're not coaches or podcast guys, right? They're like real dudes.
Yeah.
And my best friend's Justin Sladovic, who's the realest dude on the planet and has just a successful business, a successful family. Mm-hmm. He's got a beautiful spread in Encinitas, and all his kids live on they call it the farm on in Encinitas, right? And they all have houses on it's like he's built that world. He and his wife Jody. He's amazing, man. He's going through this process, but it may not be out loud on social media, or he's not even in the transformational arts, but he is living this out. So when I think about a dude that I'm inspired by, it's my best friend Justin. Yeah, he's living it out. I can name off other guys. Gary Zukav, he's written The Seed of the Soul and The Heart of the Soul. Those books changed my life for sure. I feel like Gary's embodied what and given us a blueprint for internal power versus out of aligned external power, and how to find internal power within yourself as a man. And guys like, best friend that I play golf with, Brady Toops. He's a musician. He's been on his own heart journey. He's living it out as a single man. And, but man, he's doing it so well and with so much integrity. And so those are guys, Got my next door neighbor, Stefanos, right? Got Jordan Bowditch, young guys like that. Yeah, that I'm inspired by. I'm inspired by their energy and what they're aspiring to.
What I'm hearing is there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, man. If that's your frequency, they find you. And I'm gonna bang this drum real quick as we close. Like ladies that say there's no good men out there, that's actually a representation of your own frequency. And that's not a bypass. I don't say that in like a mansplaining way of bypassing the truth of what's happened to you or things that have happened to you. But I am saying that there is a lens which you're perceiving life through that is drawing a man to you that is scary. And a man that is triggered like that fear, right? That pain body is creating that emotional state, is creating a mental story, and it's causing you to align to a physical strategy that's not getting you what you want. And man, I have such a love for my wife and our relationship. I really want people to connect to their partner. And I have a real desire to see people in a thriving, committed relationship with each other. And, even in the conscious world, right, where there's all types of relationships, I love the container of monogamy as a discipline. And as a spiritual path to like deepening my own journey within myself and within another person. And it is a spiritual path, right? And I love seeing other people who find their person that is committed to that same path and moving through some of the barriers to get that. Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that's really important, and just about like acknowledging that women who have a story that there are no good men. It is, we've said this before on the podcast, but it's not about being worthy of love. It's about being an energetic match for the love that you are actually seeking. And there are many good men, and they also run in communities with one another. So like, if you find one, even if you're not attracted to them, hang out with them awesome. So that you can start changing the story and like being a witness to the fact that actually there are.
That's so good. You say, I see Brady, my buddy who's single, right? He hangs out in worlds I don't, right? With single people. And, he rewrites what, even if there's not attraction with with the person he's on a date with, or that he meets somewhere, he's able to rewrite their experience of good men. And he also does hang out with other dudes that are on that same journey.
Yeah. Awesome. Brandon, thank you so much for coming on.
Having me.
Thank you.
You can find all Brandon's links in the description. If you like this episode, leave a rating and a review, and we love you. See you on the next one.